Ready to get started. So welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for the Lunch and Learn, Automate and Chill, 7 Steps to a Smoother AP Workflow. For those that don't know me, I'm Katie Geyer. I am an account manager here at BrainSell, and I'll be your host for today's event. But before we dive into all that good stuff, let's take care of some housekeeping items. Today's event will be about 45 minutes with a demo of Sage AP automation, as well as a formal audience Q&A at the end. But with that being said, we do really want this to be interactive. So if you have any questions at any point, please go ahead and drop them into the question box and I will monitor. And final thing is this event is being recorded and we will share the slides and recording with you after the event. You'll most likely get this in your inbox early tomorrow morning. So with that being said, Cole, I'm going to turn it over to you to introduce yourself and get to all that good stuff.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So yeah, my name is Cole, one of the account executives here at Sage AP Automation. I've been with the company for around 3 years now, so it's been very rewarding, getting financial teams to a more automated state, help optimizing their workflows. Really big thing we always see is a big one is, getting away from paper, things like that. So it's been quite rewarding, and I'm excited to be here today and kind of walk everybody through what we have in store. So let me kind of start off by saying what's probably obvious to most people, and that is that the profession of accounting is kind of at a tipping point. So in 2024, Finance and Accounting Talent Market Outlook reported that 83% of senior leaders who participated acknowledged that there is an accounting talent shortage. So, which is, pretty abysmal from what it used to be in 2022 at 70%. We're now looking around 63%. So it's not looking too good for us. And that's due large part to the fact that 75% of CPAs reached retirement age in 2020, and enrollment in accounting programs has declined overall. So if we also look at the CFO website, it points out that existing staff are experiencing increased burnout and decreased job satisfaction as they shoulder heavier workloads and longer hours. So it's no surprise that 68% of financial professionals are looking for companies that embrace technology and automation to improve job satisfaction. So piggybacking off of that, so we're going to kind of start our first poll. So I know I just threw a lot of data points out there on the previous slide. So whether you're already aware of them or not, there are always significant impact on your business operations. So tell me, how surprised were you by what I just told you in regards to, the landscape of the market? Very surprised, A, kind of surprised, B, or C, not surprised at all. We'll let that run for 10 seconds or so. Perfect. So let's see. Yeah, so not surprised, the majority there, and then very surprised and kind of surprised is a good mix. So yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's the landscape we live in, and we'll see how we are able to kind of progress forward. So a lack of automation is preventing you from creating a healthy AP workflow, which really makes it a threat to your ability to support the business. Unhappy employees who have options are going to find something better, something more to their liking. And we already established that we're in the midst of a massive accounting resource shortage. So let's roll up our sleeves, look at the tasks and realities that need to be addressed before we can, make AP healthy. So a big thing, physical invoices, receipts, purchase orders, literally run the business, and they have to go somewhere. So it makes sense that that's in the office. You can sure bet that someone will be, required to present and cut and deposit paper-based checks. Approvals are complex, even when the approvers are down the hall. Different time zones and work hours mean further complications and more, timelines that we're restricted to. Finally, visibility into data and financial information across a decentralized workforce requires technology. So, there's no way around, where the directions that we need to move to. So now, let's align those tasks with the actual accounts payable workflow. So your AP workflow starts with creating a purchase order most of the time, the formal request to a supplier for goods or services. Then it goes to delivery of goods and services and accumulates in transaction reviews and audit support. That's certainly a lot on the face of it, but I didn't even call out all the individual milestones, including, business critical three-way matching. That's where you verify the purchase order, delivery receipt, and the invoice to ensure that they all correspond, and that you're only paying for what you received. Each milestone within the end-to-end workflow represents its own set of challenges. So, plus there's an opportunity to be optimized for best practice. But you need to fully understand your way of working before you can improve it or change it or automate it. So let's dig into it and deconstruct your process to create a pathway to an end-to-end automation that supports our ultimate goal of remote work. So let's start at the very beginning with creating purchase orders. This is crucial as a well, executed high quality purchase order sets the tone for the entire AP process. It's your formal commitment to a supplier, and it lays down the terms right away from the start to finish. So now, where do companies typically stumble with the PO creation? One word is simply to put it is just the details. So, or the lack thereof. Whether it's incorrect item descriptions, automated tax info, or vague terms and conditions, these minor errors can snowball further down the line and really impact the team moving forward. So here are your basic requirements, which are what you must do as a minimum. Ensure your POs are complete, they're accurate, and approved by the relevant authority within your organization. And this should be a non-negotiable. Getting that approval is key. And here's how you take it to the next level. So to go the extra mile, consider things like setting up automated approval workflows and integrating your PO system with your inventory and accounting software. So trust me, this is a game changer. We'll keep coming back to the benefits of automation as automation addresses key challenges like speed, accuracy, and risk. But understand this, by automating, you're not just making the process faster, you're also minimizing the chance of human error. Plus, automation makes it easier to adapt to changing supplier terms, seasonal demands, and even global distributions, things we're all familiar with. A best practice here is to centralize and track all your purchase-related paperwork, because the last thing you want is to have to sift through a mountain of emails to find that one critical document, or worse, a mountain of paper on your desk. Another advanced approach is to perform gap analysis of your purchase orders, so you can evaluate the quality of your POs, the current versus the desired state, factoring accuracy and completeness, consistency with supplier quotation, and compliance with relevant laws. This will help prioritize the actions needed to close those gaps. So whether you're nailing the basics or aiming for the advanced, remember that a solid purchase order process is your foundation for a smooth AP workflow. A high quality PO helps avoid misunderstandings, disputes, delays, and penalties with your suppliers. So let's kind of turn to the next topic, and this is what happens or should happen when the goods and services are delivered along with the receipts and the invoices. So think of this stage as a midterm exam where all your prep at the PO stage meets the reality. So common hiccups here include, order discrepancies and documentation errors. These are, a little trick question in the exam and can, seriously interrupt the entire workflow. So your basics here are, you need to be to ensure that the items or services received align with your original PO and the delivery receipt. And matching is key to, that smooth sailing, later on in the workflow. So now for the advanced side of things. So go to the top of the class if you're already implementing real-time tracking and reconciliation systems. These give you metrics on supplier performance and to help identify potential bottlenecks in your process. Advanced analytic tools can help you monitor lead times and supplier reliability and take proactive and preventable measures where specific issues are flagged. As with PO creation, automation eliminates manual errors and streamlines verification. So you can instantly reconcile received goods against your POs and keep records up to date 24/7, making your operation more efficient. So automation increases your vigilance and attention to detail, setting you up for success in the later stages of the AP workflow. So now we have a date with the data. The manual data entry is the old school equivalent of chalk and slate boards, prone to errors, time consuming, and to be frank, a bit dusty and dull. So luckily, a bunch of technologies are eliminating manual data entry for, AP paperwork like POs and invoices. So the basics are these. Again, as a minimum, you should be scanning your invoices and storing them digitally, even if we are using paper copies initially. It's a foundational step, but one that sets you up for advanced improvements down the line. So incorporating OCR, so optical character recognition, transforms the AP stage, because after you quickly and effortlessly capture data, you can interact with it, edit it, and integrate it into other systems. So where we're jumping to now. So for the advanced, if you're aiming at a higher automation system systems offer advanced features like real-time analytics and fraud detection. These capabilities enable more efficient, secure operations and richer insights into your AP process. So the advantages are reduced human error, enhanced security, and significant time savings. Big one being the time savings. If we can get, the accounting team to focus on higher priority tasks, that's always the main goal. So by automating, you're also setting yourself up for long-term gains that go beyond mere data entry, like future-proofing the finance function and helping the business to stay competitive and operate efficiently. So before we go any further, we need to have a quick word about three-way matching because it is an indicator of the overall health and accuracy of your AP workflow. So plus it creates a strong verification link in the heart of your process. So matching compares the three elements of the PO, delivery date or delivery receipt, and the invoice. That's a typical three-way match. In other words, it validates that you have received what you ordered at the agreed upon terms before you make the payments, and it is essential for maintaining the financial integrity and security of your organization. Yet the process isn't always a picnic. Challenges often arise from data inconsistencies, delays perhaps, lack of real-time visibility into the matching process. Again, manual methods often fall short. So that's where three-way matching strikes a balance between simplicity and diligence. So while two-way matching is easier, it lacks a comprehensive verification process and introduces risk. Four-way matching, on the other hand, includes tolerances, but these can be time intensive and are not always necessary. So implementing a solid three-way matching system can, positively impact your bottom line by preventing overpayments or duplicate payments for that matter. It also fosters trust with vendors and simplifies the auditing process. At its core, three-way matching requires, meticulous record keeping. So for basics, ensure that your POs, delivery receipts, and invoices are stored in a secure, searchable manner, first and foremost. So now for an advanced three-way matching, if you are looking to further optimize your three-way matching, consider only automated solutions that include this capability. So some software and platforms offer it in addition to a real-time visibility, instant error detection, and seamless integration with other systems such as your ERP. Now, when it comes to the payment approval stage of the AP workflow, the saying trust but verify is your guiding principle. When as much as 20% of your time in the AP cycle can go into managing approvals, implementing checks and balances is critical for the fraud prevention and overall cost control. Legacy approval processes simply will not fly if you're, embracing remote work. If we need physical signatures and someone's working from home, it's kind of hard to make that happen. So for the basics, you must set up a multi-tiered approval process for different payment thresholds. So keep a record of every payment and approval within your accounting software and implement two-factor authentication where possible. So you should always use digital signatures, especially for remote and approval process, as an additional layer for security. Now for the advanced take, education is prevention. So it's important that your team's knowledge is current. That means staying up to date with the latest types of AP fraud, but again, going the extra mile involves, technology. So for payment approvals, that could mean automating the reconciliation process because, AI algorithms can, be trained to flag anomalies and alert you to suspicious activities in real time. Big one, going paperless, go paper free. So payment authorization is more than a tick the box exercise. It's the sharp end of the cash flow management. And without standardization protocols or centralized process, the stage can quickly become a time sink. So worse still, the complexities of cross-border regulations mean you risk non-compliant payments or becoming a target for cyber criminals. So here are the basics. First, it's time to sunset paper-based checks. A move to electronic payments like ACH, EFT, not only accelerates your process, but adds layers of security that paper checks just cannot match. You should also set up a single payment gateway, if at all possible, to handle all types of payments and make it easier to track and authorize transactions. I think we're all aware of check washing and what that's looking like in today's day and age. And I know working personally with a lot of companies, this is something that is more prevalent than I think we all realize. Sorry, I'm trying to get my slides to move here. There we go. So a big thing is to get a dashboard. You want a single pane of glass that offers real-time visibility across your approval workflow based on present rules. So you can also allow manual overrides to maintain control and momentum in the AP workflow. And finally, with analytics, it's easy to optimize your payment timings to even even out your cash flow and positively impact your bottom line. So you might be thinking that now the payment's been authorized, your work here is done, but not so fast. The AP workflow is never guaranteed to be 100% perfect, which is why transaction reviews exist. So they're the last line of defense in your AP workflow, ensuring that payments are accurate, authorized, and compliant. This stage can, be done manually or, through automated systems, but it's not without challenges around accuracy, scalability, and auditability, particularly if you have high transaction volumes. So manually validating multiple transactions can be, a Herculean task, and that consumes a lot of time and resources. Add with the need for, audit trails, and you'll see why this is tempting for the business to skip the stage altogether. So just some basic advice would be to make sure that someone on your team has exclusive responsibility for reviews. This clarity of purpose is key. So otherwise, reviews can easily be overlooked. There are basic automation tools that can monitor transactions and flag inconsistencies, but whatever approach you choose, a checklist that covers compliance, approvals, and payment amounts will ensure that every transaction passes an essential mini audit before it goes through. Makes your life easier down the road. So here's our advanced advice. Invest in technologies with real-time monitoring and intelligent anomaly detection. So these capabilities can learn your typical transaction patterns and flag outliers, making the review process both more accurate and more efficient. They also provide comprehensive audit trails, which simplify the audit process and enhance accountability. Getting things to that digital state, is huge in that direction. By emphasizing the value of transaction reviews and adopting a mix of manual oversight and automated tools, you're not just fulfilling a function, but you're turning it into a strategic asset. So because this approach allows you to identify and rectify problems quickly, it really makes your AP process more resilient and responsive, which I think is everybody's goal. So before I take some questions, I want to do a bit of, shameless plugging here. So we talked a lot about what you need to effectively automate your AP and embrace a healthy AP lifestyle, but I'd be remiss if I didn't mention how we can help. So because our software provides end-to-end automation, streamlining your entire AP workflow, let's look at some of the, our best features in our 4 modules. So first one, invoice process automation. So instant visibility to your incoming bills and monthly accruals. Yeah, easily search by gender or vendor, GL code, literally anything under the sun that would be on an invoice. Purchase order automation, customize the limits for better spending control, integrated purchase requisitions. Big one here is just visibility as a whole, and I can kind of quickly show that in our demo when we jump to it. From there, we're going to look at expense management automation, so robust and customizable approval channels and real-time receipt analytics. Nothing worse than getting someone's expenses at the end of the month and it's just a stack of papers and sandwiched between a couple of pieces of paper. And the last one would be, payment automation. So accurate one-to-one reconciliation from your accounting system to your bank account and instant batch payments. easily approve and release vendor payments, like I said, and then yeah, full visibility into your spend with real-time expense management. So really what we're looking to do is, how can we get everything into one solid system? So we just talked about all the areas that you can automate with an AP function, and I trust that they all sound pretty darn good to you, but I also bet that one excites you more than the others. So what area would you say is more exciting to you? The invoice management, payment management, purchase order management, or the expense piece? So we have a poll running now, so if you don't mind, select what applies to you most there. And then after this, we'll jump into a short demo. Perfect case, we got the results there. So yeah, it looks like a good mix. So invoices, payment, and purchase orders. No one on expenses though, so I like that. So yeah, I'll definitely show us how we can cover all those in the mini demo. We'll probably focus on just the invoice module, but we'll see how we do for time. So that being said, let's jump on into it. So let me just exit out of my display here. Perfect. So this is the Sage AP automation platform. This is the user interface that we're looking at. So I'll give everybody a screen orientation so we know what we're looking at as we move through it. So the far left-hand side is where we have the 4 key modules we offer. So we have expenses, purchase orders, invoices, and payments. Top of the screen, the tabs just represent the flow of the invoice. So it's always going from left to right. Big chunk of the screen is your work queue. This is where all your active and pending invoices are going to sit. And then just above that is organizational. So if we have multiple entities, we can have those consolidated nicely into one screen. We don't have to have separate tabs or logins to deal with. It's all brought in nicely here. Look at where an invoice or a purchase order, whatever it might be, where it is within the process. So through status filters here. And then we have our org units, and this is just a way for us to replicate your organizational structure. So here's just some examples of a company with departments, but it could be location-based, department-based, whatever it might be. Other nice thing to note with the Sage AP automation platform is that we don't charge based on users. So a little outside of most Sage platforms where they have a user license fee, we are a little different. We don't have any user license fees. So this really allows for the whole team to have visibility into the workflow. Especially if you have auditors, it's a great place for them. Just give them a quick login and they can find whatever information they need rather than us having to put it together for them. But we'll jump on in. So we're looking at the invoice module. This is kind of where we'll focus today. And so walking you through how the process works. So if we're receiving our invoices now via email, and if it's going to an AP inbox, essentially what we're going to do is set up an auto forwarding rule to that inbox. So anytime an invoice comes in with a PDF image attached, it's going to automatically flow into our system, into this in progress tab. So you don't have to worry about dragging and dropping anything in or anything like that. Now, I recognize not all our vendors are going to send it via email. We might still get the hard copies. We love those. So if we get the hard copies, you can put them all through the scanner at the same time. We can drag it into this inbox tab at the top, or we can take a picture of it with our phone. And then with this click to browse, you can just drag and drop that file here and bring it into the system that way. So I put an invoice through for us a little earlier today, just to show the coding. So if I come back into our invoice module now, and I want to see the most recent invoices, I just go to this new tab, and then we should see the one I put through, hopefully at the top. Once it loads for me, second from the top. So it's today's date is our invoice number. And then we have our invoice image here. So what we're seeing is the actual invoice itself, and then the borders here is the actual OCR capturing the data. So the header information is captured on the left-hand side. So we're grabbing things like the vendor, PO number, the invoice date, the due date, and that invoice number. Below, we're grabbing the subtotals, taxes, totals, but not only that, we're also grabbing all the line item details as well. So we're grabbing things like, the BrainSell as a description, standard gadgets, branded hats. And because our system has seen these descriptions, standard gadgets, branded hats before, we know what GL account to assign it to. So this is where that, machine learning component comes into play. It's predicting where this needs to go. It's assigned the GL account for us. BrainSell is something new. We have not seen this, leaves this blank. So this is where the review step comes in for the accounting team. And they'd be able to click into this GL account, select which GL this is for, make their selection there. When we're happy with this, we can verify it to the purchase order, which is going to be attached side by side. So now we have our invoice to our PO. Because we picked up that PO number, it's matching automatically. We can pull coding, if it's done correctly, off of the purchase order onto the line of details as well. Inventory will also be matched here as well. So it's a really great spot to have that three-way match take place, or the two-way, whichever we're doing. And from here, as our accounting team reviews, we can add comments if we need to, or notes on the side here. We can attach backup documentation. So I can go to this edit image and add any type of backup file. And then if we're happy with everything, we submit this off for the approval. Now the approvals will flow to the automatic or to the assigned approver based off rules that are set up in approval workflows in the background. So we can look at things like vendor, the org unit, which is that department, jail account, dollar amount, description, combination of all these things in different configurations. So we hit that button, it's going to the appropriate person. So if I did, flows to the pending approval tab. Now, as an approver, I would get an email notification just once daily to remind me, hey, Cole, you got some invoices needing your approval. There'll be a hyperlink. I click that link, takes me to the pending approval tab. The system is also web browser access. It's not a big clunky software, so that's easy. And then you can just dive in. I can view my invoice. I can see how things were coded. Maybe there's a backup document that somebody added, like a receipt in this case, or if there's any comments left for me on the side. Everything looks good. It's really straightforward. We're gonna get that digital approval on there, hit that approve button at the top. Otherwise, if I don't know what it is, or maybe we need to change the coding, I hit reject, forces me to leave a comment. So now when it goes back to the team, context behind why something's being rejected. When everything's approved, flows to the export tab. And this is where we're getting all this information back into Sage. So think at this point, nothing is in Sage yet. So we're doing all that digital verification, everything ahead of time. So it's gonna sit here. We can manually come in, select which ones we want, hit that export button. It's gonna flow directly into our ERPs if we coded it ourselves. Otherwise, we can have this set up to be like a scheduled sync. So maybe at 5 p.m. every day, whatever's sitting in this queue is just gonna push over for us automatically. Big thing on this one is the integration component and why we are direct partners with Sage, and that is that communication of getting information back and forth is key here. A lot of companies will be able to do this to an extent, but the benefits with Sage AP automation is that the integration component, which is crucial for this step here. Lastly, everything ends up in an archive tab. Think of this as like a new digital filing cabinet. Essentially, all your invoices that come in are going to be stored here, whether they've been approved or processed or not. We have payment status as well, so you can kind of see whether or not it has been paid. We have quick views on the side, so the thumbs up represent approval history. View link transactions represents the PO. The little comments here is your comments, and these are just invoice images. So I can click on one of these, show a quick one, things like that. We have a global search, so you can search things like a vendor, for example. It could be anything. So we could just search Amazon, for example. It's going to pull every invoice related to that word, whether it be in the vendor or the description category, or maybe even in the legal entity. And then from here, we could also look at maybe something more specific, maybe our invoice we did today. So today's date, if I wanted to find one invoice. So now this is where the unlimited user piece comes into play. So if I'm an employee and I have any hand in the invoices, instead of having to go to my accounting team to find it for me, we can give them a user login where they can just come in here into this archive tab only if we want them to restrict them to that access. They can just search the number if they know it, and then we can pull open our invoice that we just put through. So again, giving control of visibility into the team. If any changes are ever made, everything is also tracked in an audit log as well. Again, control, visibility. We want to make sure that everything flows from start to finish in a seamless way, and that we have, record of everything moving forward for audits and things like that. That was a really quick run through. There's so much more that we could share, and on demonstration with anyone from Sage AP Automation, we would tailor this specifically for your business needs. But this is just a quick overview. We obviously have a lot of other modules as well that we'd love to show you, but just based on time, I don't know if we're going to have the time to do so. So I will jump out of here potentially, and then we can get some questions, Katie, if we see any there, and we can kind of.
Yeah, we do have a few. So how much time does it take to do the installation?
Yeah, great question. So, it did play from beginning. Installation or getting integrated, typically we have around a 2 to 3 week integration. So it's essentially 3 1-hour meetings, and I apologize, I'm flying through slides here to get to where I was. So yeah, so integration really it's 2 to 3 weeks, essentially 3 1-hour meetings. First one is to set up the integration,
Hmm.
make sure that we can test the invoice flow from our system into whichever Sage product you're using. Second one is customization of the workflow. So we typically schedule this the following week.
Hmm.
And then after that is just training. So it's really, really straightforward and easy.
Okay, great. Next question was, do we buy everything together or is it modular?
Yeah, great question. So the nice thing with the Sage AP automation is that everything is modular. So you can pick and choose what you want to use and when. So maybe the first 6 months you just want to use invoices and payments,
Hmm.
and down the road add expenses. It's really easy to do so.
Great. And then just related to that, what is the price per user? And I think you
Yeah,
mentioned unlimited users. So yeah, if you could dive into that, that would be great.
yeah, exactly. So we don't charge anything for user bases. So we can have as many user logins as you like, but more importantly, have the restrictions for each user login. So we obviously don't want the legal team to potentially see invoices from marketing. So we can make sure that those logins are specific to what's important to them.
Okay, great. Anybody else have anything that they wanted to share before we move on? I don't see any other
There was
question.
one question from Brian.
Oh,
The product that Cole is using, it runs over the Sage 100 ERP or does it replace it?
That is a really good question. So we are not replacing the ERP whatsoever. We are working alongside your ERP and we're just taking it to that next level. So think of our solution as like a workflow tool. So everything will happen in our system and we're pushing that final product back into Sage. The other benefit, Sage 100 is a great example, Sage 50 another, where maybe we have an on-premise ERP or on our servers, and by utilizing our system, we can take it to a cloud-based software, cloud-based solution, and then, like I said, we just push the final product back into Sage. That's a great question, though.
yeah, I think that's it. Again, unless I missed anything. So if today's session sparked any ideas or questions, which I'm sure it did, Cole threw a lot of information at us. So the best next step is a personalized demo of Sage AP automation for your business. So we'll tailor it to your current Sage setup, walk you through like real use cases, and based on your processes, and show you exactly where the automation can save time and hopefully reduce some friction. So let us show you what's possible. You can either send us an email at growth@brainsell.com, or you can scan that little QR code using your phone and pick a time and date that works for you. So we wanted to thank everyone so much for joining us today. Cole, thank you so much. You did a fabulous job of giving us the highlights of AP automation. And again, hopefully this will spark some conversations within these businesses. And we'll be following up with everyone after the event to get you your meal delivery service gift card and to set up a personalized demo. So thank you again, Cole. Thank you everyone for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your week. See ya.
Awesome. Thanks, Katie.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.